Hello and welcome back to the Frugal Granny channel. Today I'm just putting up a quick accountability video for the paperwork project that I'm working on, just so that you know that I am plugging away with this in the background. Now this week I've not achieved anything major, but to me it's not about completing a major project every week, it's just about keeping the momentum going. So what have I done this week and what am I working on today? Okay, so welcome back to the Frugal Granny channel. My name's Ali, I'm Frugal Granny. I'm a 65-year-old semi-retiree trying to do the best I can on what I've got and to do what I can while I can. And I left my career ladder job at the end of June last year, and I've now got less than a year to go until I can get my state pension in the UK. What I'm working on at the moment as a sort of side task is what I'm calling my paperwork project, and I'm trying to get my life admin in order so that if anything happens to me, there's as little complications as possible for my adult kids. I'll put a link to the playlist up in the top right hand corner so you can easily go to the first two videos in this series if it's of any interest to you. I'm doing this series as bonus videos because it's not really about frugality, but I know that it may be of interest to some of my viewers because most of us are women of a certain age and a lot of us are on our own. So this week I've been moving on logically from sorting out my store cards, the physical plastic store cards that I've got, and I decided I would sort out my bank cards, which are debit cards and credit cards. That started as a logical progression of tidying out my purse or my wallet. I'm just looking over there to check that it is on my dressing table. I lost my phone momentarily yesterday and honestly my heart was beating. I lost it at the supermarket, which is my worst nightmare, but thankfully I managed to calm down enough to retrace my steps and I found it on the table in the staff canteen, so that was good. So I'm just looking over there to make sure that my purse, my wallet, is where it should be. Yeah, so when I cleared out the store cards in my wallet and in the little box that I was keeping for ones that I don't use so often, that logically led on to me deciding to tidy up or audit my bank cards, which would be debit cards and credit cards. And I don't carry them all around in my wallet all the time because I don't use all of them all the time. As those of you who follow me regularly know, I do have one credit card on which I am paying off my fridge freezer and my solar power bank kit. So there's no point me carrying that card around because I'm not going to be spending on it. And if I do spend on it, it will be a considered purchase from the comfort of my own home, not at a checkout in a shop. So I got out all the non-immediate cards as well as the ones that I do carry around with me, and I tidied them up and sorted them out. There was one debit card that was out of date and I made sure I had the replacement, destroyed the old one, and then I made sure that I knew the PIN numbers for all the cards. And I put the cards in a safe place and I have put the PIN numbers in a safe place. And at the moment, I have not written that safe place down. So yeah, if anything happened to me today, my kids wouldn't know where those things were. So I'm still trying to think about how I leave that information without it being too obvious in the everyday, but obvious enough if it needs to be found. So I'm still thinking about that, but going back to the bank card audit, it was quite timely because I had a letter from one of my banks last week, end of last week I think it was, saying that one of my monthly savers was going to mature this month, and what did I want to do with the money in the account, or what did I want to do with the account itself. Apparently it will turn into a standard saver with a very low interest rate. So obviously I don't want to keep the money in that account. I want to move it somewhere else. But that's a discussion for another time, maybe for a Thursday coffee and catch up where we deal with financial stuff. But it did make me think that having tidied up my bank cards, I needed to tidy up my bank accounts. I went into my online banking for that particular account, and I had a look at my accounts to see where I could move that money to most advantageously to me. And I realised I had got 2 standard savers sat there doing nothing, which had been created when the 2 monthly savers I had been operating last year had matured, turned into a standard saver, and I'd moved the money somewhere else, and I had just left those bank accounts there. Now, there was a reason I left those bank accounts there, and that was because I wanted there to be a physical record of the interest that those accounts had accrued, so that if I needed that information for HMRC, it was available. Now, we're into the next tax year now. I've submitted my information to my accountant, and I thought, right, I really do need to tidy up these 2 accounts because they're just cluttering up my online banking. So I went into each one, and I couldn't download a statement, funnily enough. Maybe it's because they'd been dormant for one of them for about a year, actually. But what I did was I printed the screen so that I've got record of the account numbers, the sort code, and all the transactions that took place from opening to closure. And I have put those in a special folder in my digital folder for last year's tax year information that I need to keep available. And then I clicked on the right tab in the online banking, and I closed both of those accounts. So as a result of that little tidy up, I've got rid of 1 expired debit card and 2 accounts, that standard savers that haven't really got an interest rate worth writing home about, no money in them, and I've shut them. So that was a little side quest, so to speak, on the back of the shopping card audit and tidy up. Now, I did want to persist with that side quest and start writing down the details of all my bank accounts, but I realised that that is quite a big task, and there were more important things to do, which basically are important numbers that my kids would need in the event of anything happening to me. So I went back into my file to see where I'd got to, and realised I had actually already done that. I'd written down the details of my solicitor, the contact number, the email address, their actual physical address, and there's even a copy of my LPA in there. And I'd made note of where a copy of my will can be found as well. And while I was downstairs yesterday, I found a leaf in funnily enough, my deep freezer notebook. Nobody would have thought of looking there, would they, of my accountant's new email address. So I ripped that out, and I've popped that in there as well. And I just need to write up those details so that they can all be in the same place. And I think I need to get some file dividers for this file so that my kids, if they need to look through it, can find the relevant information a lot more quickly. Now, while I was thinking about important contacts, I thought, yeah, I also need to deal with personal contacts. So what I have done this morning is I have downloaded from Google all of the contacts I have stored basically on Google, downloaded that as a CSV file. I can't open it like that because I don't have access to Microsoft on my laptop anymore. So I've uploaded it to Google Drive, opened it as a Google Sheet, and I'm going to edit the sheet this afternoon. And I'm also going to physically write down, because I haven't got a printer, the immediate phone numbers that my kids would need to know, and that will go on a separate sheet of paper. It will also give me an opportunity to write down any key tradespeople that deal with my house, because all of their phone numbers are on there as well. So yeah, I'm going to be just writing that up when I finish this video. But when I was thinking about key phone numbers that my kids would need to know if anything happened to me, I forgot actually that while I'm still employed at the supermarket, they would also need to be able to contact the supermarket. So I'm going to put a separate sheet in there about contact details for my manager and the shift supervisors that I work with most closely, so that if I'm ill or anything, they would be able to contact them and let them know that I couldn't attend. And that led me on to thinking as well that there is more to just ringing in and saying that I won't be coming in. They would also need to know the details of my retirement savings plan with the supermarket, which is just a long way of saying my pension plan. And because I am part of the retirement saving plan, I also am eligible for life cover, and they would need to know a phone number of or an email address of who to contact in that situation, because the life cover would be an immediate payout to them, which would help them cover the immediate costs of any funeral arrangements and initial solicitor fees. And that has been on my mind a bit, to be honest with you, the last week. I was thinking, you know, before I got sidetracked by semi-retirement, I'd got my will already, I'd done my LPAs, and I was beginning to look into how I could provide for funeral costs, and that completely went out of the window because of getting sidetracked by cashing in my pensions and taking semi-retirement. And I have got a folder in my file that says funeral plan in progress, and I'm actually really glad now that I have not gone down that route, because working for the supermarket, I've discovered that one of the benefits is that if I die while I'm in their employ, and if I'm a member of the retirement savings plan, which I am, my dependents would get an immediate cash payout 5 times my annual salary. Now, I've done the maths on that, and I think I've cancelled the calculation, but let's just do it again. So let's do this. 13.28 is my hourly rate. Multiply that by the hours I work a week on contract, which is 22.75. So that's £302.12 gross every week. So let's just multiply that by 52 weeks in the year. And that brings my annual gross contracted salary to £15,710. Now, I honestly don't know what happens about whether they take overtime worked into consideration or not. I know they do for holiday pay. I don't know if they would for that. So let's just work on that basic number. I don't honestly know if they would be taxed on that money. I honestly hope not, but you just don't know these days. I think I need to talk to one of my adult kids about that. I have one that works in finance, and they will know the answer to that, so I will ask them. But then what I did do was check how much a funeral in the UK costs at the moment, and a basic funeral with a burial, which is what I would prefer, would cost anything between, I think, would cost about £5,000. It just depends what you want and where you want to be buried. So I just thought that's a worry off my mind. So while my circumstances remain as they are, and I'm working at the supermarket for the contracted hours that I am, I'm not needing to worry too much about providing immediate finance to cover the immediate costs of anything happening to me. What I will need to do is make adjustments if I cut my hours or when I retire from the supermarket entirely. That will make a big difference, and I need to take that into account. So I then thought, well, they need a number to ring if anything happens so that they know how to claim or access this money. So I've found a web page on the intranet, and I've made a what I call right-click print PDF copy, and I've put that in my things I want to know, things I want my kids to know digital folder. So that can go in there as well, and I will write that up. So I've got a little bit of writing up to do today and tomorrow. Next task, and I don't want to make the task any bigger. I want to keep these subtasks manageable. So I need to write down my accountant's details. I need to write down my employer's details. I need to write down the contact details for the retirement saving plan, life insurance payout, and I also need to check up on how they access the money that's in my pension pot if anything happens to me. And that particular task is going to open up another whole major side quest, which is making sure that all the details for all of my pensions, the ones that I'm already drawing and the one that I've got that I'm still contributing to with my employer, that the details for those are all available. The 3 that I'm drawing I access them online, so obviously I need to make sure the passwords are logged somewhere, and the other contact details, and etc., the pension numbers and everything. And that's been brought home to me again this week because I've had a letter from the company with which I have an annuity. I bought the annuity with the pension pot from my office job. They don't provide a pension themselves. They provided the money, and you had to go to I don't know what it was. It was some sort of, they had an administration hub, let's just put it that way, that found you the best deal for the sort of pension that you wanted with the amount of money you'd got available. So I have a pension provider who pays me a pension from that pot of money. So, and I had a letter from them today. I had a letter from them yesterday actually to say that the monthly amount that they are paying me has gone up, because I'm now into the 2nd year of that pension, and it will go up a little bit every year in line with inflation. So yeah, there's that task as well. So, and what I need to do this afternoon and tomorrow, and maybe over the weekend, as well as trying to get the bottom of the sash windows painted, is get the immediate contact details written down, and that includes my accountant, my employer, and the payout phone number, the phone number they need for the life insurance payout. Yeah, so this task, honestly, it just grows. It grows. You think you've knocked a subtask or a side quest on the head, and in actual fact, all you've done is grown back several more side tasks to do. So that's why I'm saying I'm not coming to you and saying I've completed this massive task, because I haven't. I feel this week that all I've done is generate a lot more subtasks, but I'm glad about that, because I don't want to miss any of these things. So yeah, if you are still currently employed, whether it's full-time employed or part-time employed, I'm sure there are details that you need to write down that anyone who is dealing with your estate will need to know. So that's my job now. I'm not going to waffle on any longer, because the longer I keep talking, the longer I put off getting on with this task. So that's basically where I am at the moment. Immediate family contact numbers, which I guess is mainly my adult kids, my stepmother, and I have a cousin, a couple of cousins, one particular cousin that I'm in contact with. The rest of my family, you know, we've just drifted apart, to be honest, but she I think would be able to contact the rest of them and let them know if they're even bothered. And then obviously the important numbers, which are my solicitor, my accountant, and my current employer, and the sub numbers there for their retirement savings plan, life insurance arrangements. Yeah, and then I need to start getting the pension details sorted out. I want the immediate information available. So I've got quite a lot of things to do, really, and I'm not quite sure where I will have got to by the time I update you all on the paperwork project next week. But I don't want to, as I said, I don't want to overload myself, because this is quite a lot, and I need to make sure that it's written down and that it's accurate and that I haven't skipped over anything. This is something that I need to do right, and I need to get it right first time so that I don't have to come back and do it again. Well, anyway, that's enough from me today and my paperwork project. And I'll see you tomorrow for coffee and catch up, and we will be talking about my budget for August. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye now.